You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Battista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So, if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your, stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Laura Foster. Advice to stop believing your BS and finally put yourself first. Welcome, ladies. I just already had a little giggle before we hit record here with my guest today, Laura Foster, because she found herself and she woke up. She made a decision in her life to cut all the bullshit. And we're going to talk about bullshit today, which is why it kind of made me giggle, because let's just talk about it. And she's helping people who are in that same position to just do it, just cut the bullshit. After witnessing her parents and only siblings succumb to ill health and tragedy and depression, Laura made a decision to make very critical, calculated, intentional decisions that completely transformed the trajectory of her life. And what followed was a massive shape shift in her physical, mental, and spiritual well-being that rippled across every single part of her story and, of course, impacted others around her, because that's how it goes. And now she uses her holistic scaffolding technology, which we're going to talk about, to help people discover their joy and unpack their bullshit, one giant bag of it at a time. I love that. So, I just want to talk about this for a minute, because one of the things that I do, in fact, I had a client once who I asked her, are you more committed to your bullshit or are you more committed to your vision? And she got really mad and she cried. And then later, we worked it out, right? Because I was just asking her that hard question. So that's why I'm like, that's the best freaking thing ever is, unpack your bullshit. So what I want to talk about first is that I think some people don't even realize that they're in it. They don't even realize that they have the bags of bullshit. They don't even know that there's a little stench coming off them because they're carrying around bags of bullshit. What do you say? How do people even get real to the knowing it's there?
I think the number one indicator is that they're not happy, that their own unhappiness is coming through. They may not even know it, but if they kind of stop and feel what they're feeling, the negativity and stuff, that's a great indicator that they're carrying bullshit.
Yeah. And what do you say to, a lot of our ladies are listening, they're so busy grinding and doing for others that they don't know, maybe they don't know if they deserve it or if this is all there is, right? Especially if their life doesn't suck, they have things they're grateful for. So let's talk about that.
And I can totally resonate with that because I had the life, I call it Facebook is a great mortician. So I had the great, beautiful Facebook facade mortician of the perfect life. I mean, I was married for 32 years. So I had the husband, the kid, the career. So on the surface, it all looked fine and dandy and perfect. But underneath, when I would stop all the doing and the busyness, and I would start to come into alignment with my true self, it was that's where a lot of unhappiness is coming from. You're out of alignment with your true self. You're living the bullshit that you were programmed and conditioned with. So yeah, that's a huge indicator. So you don't have to all the time be miserable, but what's happening is that you are living as you've been programmed. So you are programmed to stay busy. Stay busy. It's a distraction. So
I love this because it's, to me, if I was gonna, diagram out the great mindfuck of successful women is that the busyness, right, is very culturally you get a cookie for it, right? even like I was thinking about like, 'cause, I obviously work with people who want to date as well as other people. But one of the things that I think is so funny, ironic funny, is that when someone is dating, they think when they can't like make it for a date or, they have to push it out like a week and a half that they're busy. I'm busy. I'm slammed. I'm buried. Like it's a great, like, freaking like badge
Right.
that we wear. Right. And when when someone says, I'm really busy and you cut the bullshit with them
Mhm.
and you sort of like dive into the resistance, what are some of the questions you ask people
Well,
about their busyness that they can start asking themselves now?
just the very base of holistic scaffolding, there's 6 platforms, but the base platform is awareness. So I get them to start to notice, start to notice how busy you are and start to track does your day look like. Kind of color code that day. All right, I'm spending like 6 hours at work, but then I'm spending an hour and a half on technology or, this color taking care of my family. But you are exactly right. We have been programmed to think that the busyness, especially as women, we've been programmed to think that that's a great badge of courage and strength and trying to offset the masculinity that we've been under. Yeah. So I start asking them, hey, what does your life really look like? What are you really spending time with? So, and the other thing that the next stage I take them to is when you notice that, noticing doesn't take any more time because that is probably the number one thing, resistance. It's like, I don't have time. I am so busy right now. Oh my gosh. Like I said, I'm slammed. It's just it's crazy busy, crazy busy. And I show them the way that a lot of the holistic scaffolding technology does not take any more time. It takes awareness. It takes noticing. So when they start to work with the scaffolding, they go, oh gosh, yeah, you're right. It doesn't take any more time. I just have to sit back and notice these patterns and then start to challenge them.
I'm like laughing inside because I'm like, that's perfect for a busy person. Honey, you get to multitask. You can do it and be aware.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And I'm so good at that.
Oh, I know. It's one of the great examples that one of my clients was giving about how her husband was late to pick up her kids. And she was like, normally, I just like call him and bless him out on the phone. And she said, I still did that, Laura, but I watched myself doing it. And then I started learning. So I'm like, that's it. So yeah, don't judge.
That is so hard to notice. Great. I love that. That's so great. And I think that's really huge because what I see, and I'm sure you do this too, is like even when people are like inquiring with you or with me or any coach, they want to like work with us or they want to change their life. And they're always like, yeah, so like this would be great for me, like 6 months, like, yeah, I can't do this because, I'm busy. I've got all this stuff going on. And I'm like, your why not is your why, because literally like your whole life is lived in like quarters that get eaten up by like the Pac-Man machine.
Yeah, that is a great analogy. Yes, we live in the moment. I mean, I know we talk about the past and the present, but there really is only the now. We actually just live each moment by moment. Really do. And we've been programmed to think otherwise.
Yeah, even people who are listening to this podcast right now, I bet like you heard something really powerful and then your brain goes like, oh, I still have to do that thing later today. Or you hit pause and you go do these other things. And so is there like your number one go-to tool, resource to help people get into the now and keep pushing away the old programming?
Yes. I teach wisdom wands that actually help with the holistic scaffolding. And I've taken the wisdom wands, and a lot of them are like ancient wisdom from our ancestors. So my number one thing is watching my human. It doesn't take any more time. It's my number one wisdom wand that I use. So I use a cue for myself as I literally look down at my hands. And that is a cue for me to come into the present moment and watch my human, watch what she's saying, watch what she's amusing. I mean, she is. Sometimes she's frustrating and infuriating.
So good.
But watching her, I mean, and I say this a lot in the Souls Healing Humanity community, you cannot change what you do not see. You cannot change what you do not see. So it has to begin with awareness. And our ancestors knew that. So
I love that. Watch your human. That's so great. Okay, let's talk about taking back your power. Because when I talk to all these busy women who, you know, are living their life on someone else's terms, what does that mean to you? Because I feel like as women, you know, like if you look even back through recent history, like we're like our power. What does that mean in your community?
to take back your power means to live in alignment with your true self.
Love.
Yeah. Your true self is really your spirit, your soul, your wise ass motherfucker, your intuition. I don't care what you call it. Doesn't matter what you call it. This transcends any kind of religious belief. It's there. It is underneath all the human bullshit programming and conditioning that we've all been subjected to. So the closer you come into alignment, and I teach like the 3 different areas of your life, your physical, emotional, and spiritual, the closer you come into alignment with that is when you really step into your bitch ass power. No one can take that away from you. No one. And the awareness is that you are leaking that constantly with your busyness, with your programming of you think you have to do this, that, and the other. The other big piece of programming, especially for women, is we have been programmed to think being selfish, putting ourselves first as being selfish.
Yes.
That is no. You've got to put your mate first. You've got to put your parents first. You've got to put your kids first. Fuck that shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You have got to put yourself first.
I agree. And it's crazy. Like, it's crazy how many of our mothers, like, you know, are all in our head, you know, like all the, what was that woman who was like wrote the book of etiquette? I can't remember, but I used to imagine, you know, but you know the book, right?
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of her name either.
I can't think of
Emily Post? Is it Emily Post?
Yeah. It might be. Yeah. Because, you know, you write the thank you notes and all those kinds of things. Right. And while some of it is like appropriate and polite, I think that not only is it bullshit, but I think it becomes an excuse to avoid or do that aligned thing. So like when you're noticing you're human, and there's that sort of like tendency to avoid or to put other people first. What's the understand? Why do we do that? And how do we transcend that, sort of get courageous?
I think that you have to come into awareness of that you're actually doing it first.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and if I can mention, I know you'll put in the show notes the link.
Heck yeah.
The free bullshit bag mini course, it's like 5 little lessons that'll get delivered to their inbox, but that starts it. And you can start getting back your power. For example, starting to notice in the physical arena, I have people stand in front of their mirror, set their timer for 1 minute, and notice what you start to tell yourself. You know, I'm wrinkled. I'm 55, so I'm like, oh, I'm wrinkled, or my hair's gray, or start to notice that, because that is an indicator of the programming. Then you can start to challenge that. That's where you're leaking your power, is when you're living by your programming, you're leaking your power. Now, I want to make it perfectly clear that it's okay. Like, it's okay if you dye your hair. It's okay that you do Botox. I'm not judging any of that. My mission is that you take back your power. You're the one making that decision for yourself. Not your programming, not a corporation that is marketing and telling you that you're not enough. That's where your power is.
I love that. It's funny because I used to live in Los Angeles for like 25 years. Well, I'm from Iowa, so I have a simple beginning. But I moved to LA, and then over the course of like my life, and I had a ski accident, and my kids left the nest, and my husband and I were arguing, and we decided to leave LA, right? And when I had to go, and it sounds so minute, but it was really powerful. When I had to go through my closet, I really started to look at like, is this me right now? Or is this what I feel like I need to be to show up like at this work event, or to go to this thing in this city, in this place? Or do you know what I mean? And what I got from that was that like, it goes so deep when you're talking about the programming, right? Because there's that need to, in your world, is it like the need to belong, to fit in, to try and make yourself feel better? What are the reasons where we do that? What parts of our human need that?
I think part of that, and I'm not sure because I do not have all the answers, but I think it might be part of the hardwiring that's left over from our ancestors, the need to be part of a tribe. Because that used to, I mean, hell, if you got kicked out of the tribe, you were probably going to die.
Right.
Well, that may be just, I don't know, a leftover, but we certainly can challenge that. We are way more powerful than we have ever been told. So that might be where it's coming from. Or it could be just sheer programming that we're enduring right now. So,
yeah, that's true. And it's funny because I got rid of so much and I put so much in storage, and then I lived in an RV for a year. So I like had to be very like careful about what I curated for my space. And it's funny then like coming back and being like, well, who am I? Because now I live in Colorado, and like, it's like, what, hiking boots and tennis shoes do you have? But it's really interesting that, then we get to say like, what is it? Even with my business, and I don't know about you, like, but for me, I've even noticed like, getting business and being an entrepreneur, you're like, well, who should I follow? Even that notice, right? Even that word we use, right? Like, who should I follow? And I know we're going to talk about in a second about what the guru, right? But we're like constantly looking for that belonging, and we think we're being powerful because we're, smart, strong women, and we can have a great conversation and hold our own. But like, there's all these unconscious way we're like not being powerful. So let's talk about that. Well, first of all, why are we not our own guru? And what does that even mean to be your own guru?
I believe that it's really, really important. No one knows what's best for you than your own true self and that alignment to your true self. I'm not at all being negative because I follow different gurus and different programs.
Yeah.
But when you're following somebody else's program, I call that spirituality sidestepping, and I talk about that in the Fed Up Not Fucked Up book and online course. But you're really replacing one set of rules and dogma with another. And to me, like I said, no one knows what's best for you than your true self. And that's the beauty of holistic scaffolding technology, is once you learn this framework, that gets you where you're your own guru. Then you design a life that you love by you, for you. You stop living a life that's designed by somebody else. And that's the programming and conditioning that we've all had.
I'm writing that down because it's so good. I want to make sure we hashtag it or something. So it's so good, right? Because I think, and that's, I'm a little bit older than you, but I realized that like, that was it. Like, you design this life, based on whatever. I mean, it's something that's just logistics, right? Like when you were like, oh, I'm in my whatever 20s or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to get married and I'm going to have this kid. And you have this like timeline, you have a timeline, right? But then it's like, then suddenly you're 50 or 47 or 40, whatever, whenever you're like, wait, is this person that I'm with, can he still be this person that the 20-year-old human picked. My kid doesn't need me in the same way. And I think we have such resistance to like evolving and saying like, wait, maybe I can actually, maybe redesigning my life by me, for me is like, I don't think people don't even know that that's real, Laura, like that you can actually create your life. Most people just freaking wake up and go to work and eat and plan their weekends.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's perfectly okay too. But there are people, and you've been through the journey, I've been through the journey. It gets so uncomfortable in your own skin. And that's the big indicator is like, I cannot live like this anymore. And it may, and I call them moments of change. And we do one of two things with them. Well, we can do three, but you know, they're a catalyst for a change. And we're like, we draw our line in the sand. I'm not fucking living like this anymore. And we really start to make those changes. It can be emotional, physical, spiritual, or we sweep them under the rug and we just keep living by the programming. The third option, which I do not recommend, is actually taking out your human. Because that is an option, but I don't ever recommend that because we need all these humans here. So.
Right. Well, absolutely. And I think just for someone listening, like I think Laura's message is so powerful because it's like, wake the fuck up. You actually have a choice. Like, stop telling yourself the sad story about like all the people that need you and, you know, all your conditions and your restrictions and your somedays, because even on the smallest level, like, you know, telling your colleague, like, you can do that yourself. I'm not going to do it for you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to save your ass again and again and again, right? Or you know, I'm watching The Golden Bachelor, which I did a Bachelor hiatus, but I went back in, and there's one of these women, and she was like lovely, and she lost her husband, and she, you know, the main guy, the Bachelor guy, is like really vibing with her, and she's like, I think 70, and her kid has had a baby and all this stuff. Anyway, and she leaves the show and she says, I have to be a mom. I have to go be a mom. I have to go be a mom. And like, I totally get that. And I was like, what would I do? And I wanted to know the details of the situation. But I think that's just like a micro moment of like the 7-year-old woman who's like got her life. She auditioned for the show. She went on things. She's got the guy. He's really interested. And I was like, what the hell is going on with the daughter? That she can't be without her mom for like 3 more weeks or whatever it is. And I don't know. But I think that we make choices like this all the time, you know, like putting those other conditions and people first.
Well, and I totally agree with you. And I call it playing the blame game or living in victimhood. And I don't want people to judge themselves. I really, right. And I don't want them to think that I'm judging them because I lived that way for decades.
We all did. I still do it sometimes. Believe me.
Exactly.
I was like that yesterday. Daughter gonna text me? Is she gonna wake up? Are we gonna have breakfast? I said to my other daughter, I'm like, I feel like when I was like in high school and I was waiting for the boy to, you know, text you, and you're like, I don't know, should I go for a walk? Should I offer you? So I just want everyone to know, like, I am not cured.
No, I'm not either. And that's what I tell my community all the time. It's like, okay, I'm not your next fucking guru, and I don't know it all. I mean, I'm constantly learning. I am learning with you guys. And it's, I mean, my mission is to bring this holistic scaffolding to the ones that are ready for it. And I'm not attached to, I'm not their next fucking guru. I mean, I really don't care how many people follow me. I was like, I'm on this journey and I trust the universe. It's one of my 5 goals. It's like, trust the universe. So
I love that. When you said I'm still on the journey, I imagine all of us like, because I walked on I did not walk the Appalachian Trail. Just please everyone understand that I'm not about to tell you that I did that, but I walked on a teeny little piece of it. And there were people that were walking the Appalachian Trail. Anyway, and they're like all angry and their poles, they're dirty with their backpacks. So and that's what the journey can feel like sometime, right? And I just love, and that's why this podcast is here. And I love when I find out about people like you, Laura, because it's like we are all on the journey together, you know, and it's not like we're special or the people that choose to work with you are like extraordinary or whatever. It's that you had that moment of reckoning and you're like, I'm sick of fucking doing this by myself.
Exactly.
So there. Okay. So before we go, And when I'm on podcasts, I have these 7 questions, and they get in my bio, and some people are like, tell me about the 7 questions. And I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I would get this boring fucking interview ever, because it would just be like me talking for 45 minutes. So I would like for you to, rather than explain your whole scaffolding, which I'm sure they can find out when they get your mini course.
Yeah.
But for you, like, what's the piece of your technology, your scaffolding technology, that really stands out, that is the different thing that people are like, whoa, this is like, I've never heard this before.
Exactly. The analogy that I can draw is, if you think about the sculpture that Michelangelo did of David, he had a quote about that the sculpture was already in. He just had to chip away the exterior material. That exterior material is your bullshit programming and conditioning. The holistic scaffolding, there are 6 platforms. That's what you're going to use. It's like chutes and ladders. You go up and down the platform. Your wisdom wands and wisdom nuggets that I share, those are your chisels. You're going to chip away. The big difference with holistic scaffolding is that we focus on the positive. One of the platforms is Celebrate You. We, instead of a lot of self-help programs, focus on, oh God, you need to change this. You need to do this. Do it this way. I am not going to tell you what to do. This framework, once you learn it, you have it for the rest of your life. So I want you to focus on all the shit that you have not only survived, but you have thrived. You bring yourself into that higher vibration of awareness and celebrating, and you're a master creators, law of attractions, all that stuff. That is different. That is very different. When people use it, it's like, wow, 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 because they're making those steps on their own, and they have the support of the community. It's like, yeah, we have this common language. So it's
I love that. No, it's funny. It reminds me, because I was talking to a colleague of mine, and my coach asked me really challenging questions, and she was telling me about a work situation, and so her coach's name is Matt, and I was like, well, what did Matt ask you about? And it was really simple. It was one that, like, as professionals, I'm sure everyone deals with constantly, like, someone sent an email, someone else saw that email. It was like basic, right? Basic, a day in the life of whatever. Anyway, and he said, why do you think you keep creating these situations with people again and again? And she was like, I hated that question. Tell me what to do. And I think that kind of a question, right, is like the bigger picture question, right? That's the question that, instead of making my colleague and our listeners feel like, oh, you have to fix something, it's like, oh, universe, soul, like, why do I keep creating this, right? And then that's really the sense of true empowerment. So what happens when you start living your life answering the hard questions and grabbing those wisdom wands?
I warn some people, because I always give it to them straight with no fucking chaser. Sometimes you're going to blow up your entire life. Sometimes that is going to happen. I know that it happened with me. From that perspective, everything fell apart. So I do want to warn them that can happen. But you're going to be able to rebuild that in alignment. That's when you're going to design your life, not by somebody else's rules. But there's just so much peace. This holistic scaffolding, I didn't create this. It came from the universe through me. I am the vessel for this. I don't take credit for it at all. And I want people to know, and it chokes me up when I talk about it. This is huge. We all are talking about world peace. That when you live in alignment with your true self, this transcends religion, it transcends politics. When you are in alignment with your true self, every time I exit my home, I see the amazing souls and spirits. Now, they may be wrapped in a nasty motherfucker human, but I choose to know and love them. I live that. I don't care who they voted for. I don't care. That's our way to world peace. I know that, and this is not the only method. I know, I'm like, follow whatever. But I know how big this is. I know that over half the planet right now, we're hoping and praying and wishing. But the way is through your own alignment. People
Yeah.
got to settle in and do your own work. It's not about somebody else coming to save you. It's just not. You have the
So
ability.
true. I love that. It's so true because when I went on my physical journey, which was very metaphorical, in that RV, what I really learned was that if I can find that alignment and that home inside myself,
Mhm.
and also, by the way, everyone, I think like for the 8 millionth time, right? Like I learned that lesson, when I got divorced the first time. I learned that lesson in parenting like 127 times, and like this was the most recent time. But I was like, holy crap, like if I'm aligned, then I'm safe. And so whatever blows up or whatever I do, whatever it is, right? Like I've totally got this within me and if I have it, like you said, it's coming through you, then I'm meant to have it.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that's so trite, like you don't get what you can't handle and all of that, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. But I kind of think it's true. Right. It's like, what are you going to, you're like describing the hero's journey and it's so cool.
It is the classic hero's journey. It's just with kind of a modern twist that has come through for humanity. So, but it's, and you mentioned your experience with the RV. What your audience doesn't know about me is I completely downsized and I don't own a home anymore. The only thing I actually own is my car. So I totally, and I'm like, you know what? I just moved to another Airbnb and, the universe just provides. It's like, okay, I need some lamps. And I went out yard selling and hey, there's lamps. Yeah. I mean, I know, but it's like, but once you're in, like you said, once you're in alignment with your true self and your spirit, I am home. I am home anywhere. I have this, I am, and I don't know if the Mind Valley person came up with this term or not, but it's unfuckwithable, and I fucking love that term. Vishalikayani, I think I'm saying it right. But it's like when you're in alignment, you are really unfuckwithable. I mean, you just are.
Yeah.
You're home anywhere. You love all the souls. It's amazing.
Yes, and you and I are both here, so you don't have to wait till damn 50s to figure it out or later.
Exactly.
If only right? That's why I'm like, my daughter, my whole why way back when was like, because I had 3 daughters, and I was like, oh God, if I can't get my own shit together, I need to get it together for them. And so I'm here for a whole generation of women that are non-fuckwithable, and that we can all learn that wherever we are in our life, and then teach it to the later ones.
Yeah.
So, all right, ladies, you've got to go check out the the show notes, because this mini course is so super cool. And anyone who swears and as much as me is my best friend. And so the link is in the show notes, and it's really, really a very generous way to dip your toes into the soul's healing humanity and look at that scaffolding and do this mini course and get to spend some more time with Laura, who is truly a queen. Ladies, I mean,
back to you.
Oh my God, yeah. So ladies, I mean, the name of the show is Life Check Yourself. And so it's time, re-listen, share this with a friend, that friend who keeps complaining. I suggest I have something that you might find interesting. I think that they should meet Marni and Laura. So feel free to pass us on, share us on social media. You can always find me at Marni Battista _ on Instagram, Marni Battista Facebook. And whatever you do today, notice you're human and life check yourself. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here, Laura.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes, and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be
fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to dwdvip.com. I'm Marni Battista, and let's talk soon.